my name is Jordan Mazzaferro and I am in 7th grade. Today I will be reading Bat Jamboree. The Bat Jamboree was held early this year at the old drive-in movie not too far from here. It started 55 bats who had practiced all spring for this grandest of shows on the old silver screen. The group was better than ever before. It was standing room only, no more seats on the floor. The crowd settled in as the house lights went down. The spotlight came up. There wasn't a sound then. One bat sang, 2 bats flapped, 3 bats cha-cha'd, 4 bats tapped. 5 bats dove from the top of the screen, reeling and whirling, wing tip to wing. 6 bats formed the bands. Oh, how they jived. Their instruments wailed in 3/4 times. 7 bats balanced 7 balls on their nose. 8 bats doubled up and danced Cotton-Eye Joes. 9 bats wore tuxedos and sang in a choir. Each thought it to himself how they adored us. The time came at last for the grand final, the acrobats. Yes, there were 10 bats in all. They strutted from in front of the 6-story screen in a dazing display of bats on the wings. Cartwheels, backflips, wing springs they did, but the greatest of all was the great big pyramid. It started, you see, with the acrobats all lined up in a row. Then 9 bats fluttered, 8 bats flew, 7 bats balanced at the pyramid grew. 6 bats dived up on the wild flying stairs, while 5 bats dove down right out of the thin air. 4 bats tapped as they all 4 ascended, and up 3 bats trod, fanged, and twisted. When 2 bats flapped up, the crowd became quiet. They've never seen anything like it. Now 54 bats in the wonderful band, all waiting in silence for the one bat to land. No one moved a muscle as she flew to the peak, not even a whisper, not even a squeak. And it seemed like forever, the tension it grew. To the top of the pyramid, the bat lady flew. And once up on the top, in a voice all quiver, the single bat sang, making all the bats shiver. The whole crowd went crazy, and they hooted, they howled, as all 50 bats took a deep bow. And then it was over, the spotlight was dimmed, the house lights came up, the curtains were trimmed, but came again next year, and once after that, for the Bat Jamboree starring 55 bats. The spotlight will shine on that 6-story screen, and the show won't be over till the Bat Lady sings.
I'm Kennedy Brandt. I'm in 7th grade, and I'm reading Flat Stanley and the Haunted House. Stanley, I can't really figure out his last name, but Stanley lived with his mother, his father, and his little brother Arthur. Stanley was 4 feet tall, about a foot wide, and half an inch thick. He had been flat ever since a bulletin board fell on him. Mostly Stanley liked being flat. He was very good at dodgeball and hide and seek. Will there be a limbo party? Asked Stanley. He was very good at limbo too. Yes, said Mrs. Lambchop. Stanley's school was having a Halloween party. I want to see the haunted house, said Arthur. I hope it's really scary. Not too scary, said his mother. There will be small children at that party. Mrs. Lambtrap zipped up Arthur's monster costume. She had sewn it herself. Perfect, she said. Scary, but not too scary. Stanley put on his costume too. He was a blueberry pancake. You look good enough to eat, Mrs. Lambchop said. Let's go. Arthur and Mrs. Lambchop got into the car. Mr. Lambchop tied Stanley to the roof of the roof rack. All set, Stanley, he asked. All set, Stanley answered. The school gym was full of pirates and witches and fairies. Hey, look, Arthur said. Hey is for horses, Arthur, said Mrs. Lambchop told him. I know, said Arthur. Look, a horse trotted by. Oh, said Mrs. Lambchop. Sorry, dear. There's a haunted house, Arthur said to Stanley. They stood in line behind the horse. What a clever costume, the horse's mother said to Stanley. You look as flat as a pancake. At last, their turn came. Come on, said Stanley. The boy stepped inside. Boo, yelled a ghost. And Arthur said the ghost's sneakers looked like Coach Bart's. A werewolf howled. Then it sneezed. Bless you, said the ghost politely to the werewolf. This isn't scary at all, said Stanley. Let's get out of here, Arthur. Outside, Arthur and Stanley saw a little boy crying. It was their neighbor, Martin Timpson. What's wrong? asked Stanley. Did the haunted house scare you? No, Martin said. Martin told them that a bully had stolen his giant candy corn. It was my prize for winning the limbo contest, he said sadly. I missed the limbo contest? Rats, said Stanley. Where did the mean kid go? asked Arthur. Martin pointed across the gym. An older boy leaned against the wall. Next to him was the candy corn. That's one big candy corn, said Arthur. That's one big kid, said Stanley. Stanley looked at Arthur's costume. I have an idea, he said. Make room for me, Arthur. Make room for me, Arthur. Stanley took off his costume and slipped inside Arthur's. Then he whispered in Arthur's ear. Great plan, Arthur said. Just don't blink. Arthur walked over to the big kid. Stanley didn't blink. Give the candy corn back or else, Arthur demanded. Or else what, said the bully. I'll tell everyone that you're scared of me, said Arthur. The kid stood up tall. He stepped right in front of Arthur and Stanley. Stanley still didn't blink. Why should I be scared of you? The bully growled. I'm a two-headed monster, Arthur said. The boy pointed to Stanley's face. Ha, the head's so fake, he said. Then Stanley blinked. Fake, said Stanley. Oh, really? Ah, yelled the bully. He ran out of the gym door, leaving the candy corn behind. Yes, yelled Stanley and Arthur. They jumped up and down inside Arthur's costume. Martin picked up his candy corn. Thanks, guys. Uh-oh, said Arthur. Stanley turned around. Mr. and Mrs. Lambchop were standing behind them. Arthur and Stanley Lambchop. What did I saw what you did, Mrs. Lambchop said sternly. That was scary. Then Mrs. Lambchop smiled. Too scary. The end.
Hi, my name is Madison Holiday. I'm in 8th grade, and today I'll be reading the story, Aliens Love Underpants. Aliens love underpants of every shape and size, but there are no underpants in space, so here's a big surprise. When aliens fly down to Earth, they don't come to meet you, they simply want your underpants. I'll bet you never knew. Their spaceship's radar bleeps and blinks the moment that it sees a fresh clothesline of underpants all flapping in the breeze. They land in your backyard though they haven't been invited. Ooh, underpants, they chant and dance around delighted. They like them red, they like them green, or orange like wild pumas. But best of all, they love the sight of Granny's spotted bloomers. Mom's pink frilly panties are a perfect place to hide, and Grandpa's woolly long johns make a super whizzy slide. In daring competitions held up by just one pin, they dive into the long johns to see how many can squeeze in. They wear undies on their feet and heads and other silly places. They fly undies from their spaceships and hold funny undie races. As they go zinging through the air, it really is pants-tastic what fun the aliens can have with underpants elastic. It's not your neighbor's naughty dog or his owner's funny game. When underpants go missing, the aliens are to blame. But quick, Mom's coming out to fetch the laundry in at last. Whee! Off the aliens all zoom, they're used to leaving fast. So when you put your underpants on, freshly washed, nice and clean, just check in case an alien still lurks inside, unseen. The end.